All right, in Omaha, yes, indeed, the College World Series Championship Series is set. It will be LSU and Coastal Carolina. David versus Goliath. This David has a pretty strong slingshot, so we'll get to that in just a little bit. But Charlie, before we do this, Arkansas. This is look. We've been doing a radio show together for 35, collectively close to 70 years in the Baton Rouge market. So not a lot of fans, but it's not our job to be fans. We respect the hell out of Dave Van Horn and his Arkansas program. You called it the best college baseball atmosphere in all of college baseball. And that won't get you a free meal in Baton Rouge. A whole lot. So, but I mean, there's an old saying we kind of like, you go to the ballpark, you're going to see something you've never seen. I've never seen this. Mental error, physical error, or stumble, whatever. And then the game when it hit, of course it went off the glove. I mean, this is a new one. At a consecutive at-bats. But this also started with the ball to the right side where and this is the beauty about college baseball. There's imperfections, but we see the major leaguers blow this a little bit more. But we see a little bit more when you put bunts or little choppers in play, things seem to come unraveled a little bit more frequently at the college level. But they've done everything right. They just can't do it. The 27th out hits the shoulder of an outfielder. I mean, look, they're excited as hell in Baton Rouge and all the fans, LSU fans in Omaha. But damn it, I mean, I just want to say that we've seen a lot of college baseball, and damn it, Arkansas, you deserve a little better.
Yeah, somebody went through the trouble to go through Wahia Aloy, the shortstop, SEC Player of the Year. Every chance he had during the regular season. That particular play only came up one other time, and he went to third. Where he went to third one other time the whole year, and he was way further to his right in that game, which was a meaningless midweek game. But it was not the exact same thing as what you saw the other night. Dave Van Horn stood in front of his player. Aloy's, I think, going to play in the big leagues for a while, and he's going to kick himself for a long time on that one, because they had time to turn a double play. Milam had not really made it out of the box real in great shape. They were going to have time to turn two there. The ball in left field, young man took a step back on a line drive, and then coming forward slipped. And as he went down, he lost sight of the ball. And that's just one that play that he'll make 99 times out of 100 or 96 times out of 100, but not that night. And you see the game get sped up. It happened to LSU a few innings earlier. Daniel Dickinson had a perfect double play ball to second base that he overhanded to the shortstop covering the bag, and they don't get to turn two there. So the game speeds up, the pressure of it, Aloy just wanting to get one out. And then the last thing is, I know Dave Van Horn had a good explanation in the post game about why he didn't walk Bear Jones, but I'm sure he's going to be thinking about that one all off season too. He wanted to go to righty rather than the righty lefty that he had on deck, but I think he'll second guess himself on that one privately for a while, letting a guy like Jones beat him.
I know Van Horn said that about losing the lights. He's protecting his player. I'm not buying that. It's just, I mean, the guy's not. The left fielder has had his path to Arkansas has been a really tough one. He's had to do everything fundamentally superior to get notice and to get his opportunity to move to, a higher resource program, higher expectation program like Arkansas. And Van Horn's getting players from Hawaii to Canada to Florida. I mean, Jay Johnson said it after, with all the respect, he's a thorn in our side as far as Johnson's concerned. I mean, we're having to beat him out on kids, and they are putting some resources behind it. Yes, there's an NIL budget, but there's very few of them. But when you talk about LSU, might they have the most resources? But Tennessee and Arkansas ain't far behind. And so But something about LSU, these type of things usually seem to work their way in all of their runs to 7 national championships. So we move up. But look, man, our, I just don't know what to say. That's one. I will say this. I think Arkansas is getting bounced the next game. And I said that when we did the show on Wednesday because Anderson was probably not going to lose against a depleted pitching staff at that point. But what it does for LSU, you got Anderson and everybody on full rest. You talked about it on a radio show too. If it ends with the blown play in left field and it goes extra innings, then you got to use Ianson. And Johnson said that. I'm using my number 2 starter in relief. So you're going to have to use Ianson and maybe Anderson the next day to go into that game against Arkansas and where you have 27 outs is the minimum you're going to get in this game. And you're staring at, 27, 30, maybe 36 outs and then 27, 63 or whatever it could have been and burning up all that. This was ideal for LSU. Same thing for Coastal. And let's talk about Coastal because Coastal is no newcomer to this one. If you remember what Augie Garrido and Charlie, you pointed this out on a radio show in Cal State Fullerton, we're doing with very limited budget in the Orange County area where they won so many national championships and Horton kept it going before he went to Oregon. This is what Coastal is doing. They've gone to the NCAA tournament 15 out of 17 years. The Sun Belt, it's not a major conference, but it's a respected baseball conference, a top 10 RPI conference, now top 7 after the postseason results. And they went 26-4. They came into the tournament with a winning streak that everybody's talking about at 26 right now. But it's one game. It's one game. I said, did you notice the score? Where there's so many games on that opening weekend in college baseball. So yes. So on Sunday during regional play, where pitching is thin, Coastal clinched their ticket to go to Auburn for the Super Regional with a 1-0 final. I'm like, huh? So, Charlie, I know that caught your attention. Oh, wait, they got 10 pitchers with a 3 ERA, roughly 3.03 or less. And the first guy that go to the bullpen was not even one of those 10. They are deep, deep, deep. And this Morrison kid is legit. We said it before. In all due respect to Gage Woods, unbelievable game, best game ever pitched in Omaha. These are the 2 guys that we would pick if we had one game to win. And that is Anderson for LSU and then Morrison for Coastal. But Coastal, Charlie, this is no David. 26 in a row, 15 to 17 trips to the NCAA. It's difficult. When we talk about other sports, did you get your RPI, your mid-major? You got to win those non-conference games on the road to try and get your RPI up. Coastal Carolina has the number 1 RPI in the country right now. This is no David. This is a highly respected team. And I'll throw in with the conditions and how the Charles Schwab plays, roughly 1 home run per game. By comparison, they hit over 6 a game in the Athens Regional. 1 home run a game. Their approach at the plate, they don't move out of the way for it. This team is tailor-made with their approach on how to play at this park as well. Coastal is no big Cinderella when it comes to this team.
They're not. And the comparisons with the Cal State Fullerton teams are particularly accurate, I think, for this year's Coastal Carolina team. That run, 15 out of 17, a lot of that was predicated with big bats. They had a lot of home runs. They played a hitter-friendly park. Not the case this year. They have not hit nearly as many home runs, but they have, moved station to station. Baseball, they lead the nation in hit by pitch, which is a sort of an art form. They take a lot of extra bases. They run very well. It's a really, really well-oiled offensive machine. They don't have maybe the thunder bat the way UCLA had with Chalowski, but they've got a very solid lineup, 1 to 9. The pitching, though, is where you really stand up and take notice. Morrison is 6'8", 245 pounds. Cameron Fluke, who will probably start game 1, is 6'6" and 210 pounds. If you put these guys in SEC uniforms, they would not be in any way out of place. So you look at the Fullerton comparison is when Fullerton used to come to your regional in the 90s, it wasn't, oh, we're getting a mid-major. It was, here comes Augie Garrido and then later George Horton and the Titans, and they won multiple national titles. I think Coastal Carolina, through now multiple coaches and into the NIL era, is certainly holding their own to the point where they are better right now than their neighbor to the South Carolina, who's in the SEC and has a great history. There's nothing not to like about Coastal Carolina. They are this is a terrific team and this is a terrific program.
Yeah, I can remember when Cal State Fullerton. This is back when you could buy a regional, but there was a 48-team field at that time before it expanded to 64. They went to New Orleans. UNO was the host, and Cal State Fullerton is coming all the way from California. They're the number one seed in it. That doesn't happen anymore. So you can't give the NCAA a guarantee money-wise to buy those regionals. Let's look at LSU. On the other hand, Jay Johnson comes from Arizona. We talked about it on Father's Day. He has no kids. He works. Like some of the people, hey, come, coach, I want to take you deep sea fishing. What? I've got recruiting to do. He is relentless when it comes to recruiting. He is the Nick Saban as far as the head coach and an active recruiter. He also has all the bullets in the gun, baby. He's got LSU people they support. He's got the biggest budget. It's Tennessee's gotten a little close and Arkansas there, but nobody has the budget that he has. So you can get a homegrown guy like Anderson, where they play a ton of baseball, travel ball baseball in Louisiana and in the South in general. And then you go pluck a guy from UC San Diego. Wasn't just in college basketball that this year's Cinderella was UC San Diego. So Ianson is basically your 1A. He's been phenomenal. He has a chance to dip into the late first round as in the MLB draft as well. Then you get a guy like Mark McGuire with 6'5". Well, our first baseman is 6'4", and he's built more than Mark McGuire at this stage when he was at USC. Trust me. And you got speed. And then what this team has that no LSU team has had before, this team has the highest fielded percentage in their history, highest fielded percentage in the conference this year. And that's important because I've seen LSU lose national championships because they weren't fundamentally sound in the field. So this team has power, speed, pitching depth. And also, let's throw in the relievers. One reliever struck out 9 in a row in the do-or-die game against Little Rock in a regional. Another guy is 6'8" and throws 101. Another 6'6" guy from the left side throws in the high 90s. I mean, we go on. And then the guy who started on Wednesday night, Evans was, as probably an ace for a lot of teams around the country as well. Charlie, this LSU team has been loaded, but hasn't performed at the high level, but things seem to be clicking now.
That bullpen got better in the last month. Guys like Chase Shores, a 6'8" player that you were talking about. Jaden Newt gave him a strong inning the other night. These are guys that are now 2 years and 50-plus innings removed from Tommy John surgery, which is when you really start to feel like your old self. Newt's at 33 innings, but Shores is well over 50. Kason Evans, a true freshman who they used out of the bullpen for most of the season, but became a starter late, has performed well both as a starter, as a closer. He's been a long relief guy, so he fills multiple roles. They have an ample amount of left-handed pitching, so they can do that. The freshman Cooper Williams has come on in the latter part of the season as a left-hander. So they've got every matchup you can need. And just to double back to that Arkansas game, if Ianson has to pitch in extra innings and Anderson has to pitch the full game or as much of the game as he can on Thursday, I don't know that LSU would have gone in as an underdog to this series, but if that had happened, they should have gone into this series as an underdog. And now they don't have to do that. If we talk all the time in this tournament, Jimmy, about who's got compromised pitching, who's got to bring guys back on short rest. I'm really happy that neither one of these teams, that's not a talking point. Everybody's got everybody, and we're going to see best on best.
All right, so let's look at the projecting pitching matchups a little bit later today. Coastal at 11, LSU at 11:30 local Central Time in Omaha. and I believe they will announce their pitchers at that point. But we're expecting Cade Anderson, who threw game one on Saturday against Arkansas and was phenomenal again. And he's expected to go on his, from Saturday to Saturday. Remember, we talked about Carolina and how they put Morrison. He started game two in the Super Regional in Auburn and shoved it down Auburn's throat. I mean, they rarely threaten. And then they came back on Sunday. So we're thinking, is Morrison going to throw Sunday? Can only start one. But we also look at where we've seen a bunch of regionals. The Friday starter, 6 Friday starters came back and threw in relief on Monday. We saw one Friday starter from West Virginia come back and throw on a Sunday, their clinching game. But those were forced to a game 7 in the regional round. 6 of them came back. So that's 7 pitchers, quick turnaround. Talk about college baseball. If it goes to Monday, and we'll be back on Monday, we'll talk about those. But that's the only thing I think is keeping Morrison from going a Sunday instead of Saturday. He comes out Sunday. He can't throw Monday. Well, I guess what Randy Johnson did it in Game 7 back in 2001, and Bumgarner came back on a couple of days rest, but in Major League, when it's at Game 7 and it's that final game. But that's the only thing. But something tells me that it's going to be Anderson, Ianson, as it's been all year, the 1 and 1A for LSU Saturday and Sunday. And I think they're going to throw Morrison on Sunday as well, too, Charlie, to keep him from week to week.
Yeah, they had some Thursday starts in the month of May, and they kept Morrison where he was on Friday, which was game 2 of a couple of those series. Then it worked out real well for him that he was able to throw the marble game in the regional, which was a Saturday. So then they give him the full rest, coming out of that into the College World Series. And I think they'll keep him on the full rest again. They've shown an awful lot of confidence in Cameron Fluke, who is the number 2 guy. And he started the game 1 against Auburn, came on in relief in game 1 against Arizona. In those 2 games, he threw 9 innings. He gave up 5 runs. He's 6'6". He's 210 pounds. I think he'll be a pretty coveted draft pick next year. So I think they feel good about Fluke going in game number 1, and then holding Morrison. Not really holding him. He could pitch. He's got 5 days rest, but I think they'll keep him on the full rest and go Fluke and Morrison is my best guess.
All right, let's look at game 1, and it's LSU is a favorite, of course, because Anderson is expected to throw, and maybe not Morrison. We'll confirm that later. But the LSU Tigers are a big favorite here, and minus 177. It's bouncing all around. That's a big number in this matchup against a team that's won 26 in a row. I'm not betting against Anderson. I can tell you what, but with that wind blowing in from 20 to 30 miles per hour from right center, straight from the Missouri River, give me the under. Boy, you think the unders have had a rough go? I mean, this is why you take live betting, okay? The last 3 totals in Omaha have gone over, but you had one entering the last inning. The first one was Oregon State and Louisville was covering about 2 runs, and the next 2 were 4.5 and 5.5 run leads, and they didn't come under. This is the first time that the unders are 1 game ahead of 500. I don't think it's going to finish that way, though. I'm going under with those conditions, the way this park plays, with this pitching that's rested up. I like the under 8.5. Charlie, you are looking at Anderson. I mean, well, maybe if they play Saturday, LSU will be a dog again. LSU was a dog both games against Arkansas, believe it or not, in those 2 games. But anyway, it's a big number, but Anderson's kind of worth it.
I'm gonna lay this number with Anderson, and I don't like to lay this kind of juice, but I want to go back to his outing in the Super Regional, which was a day game against West Virginia in Baton Rouge in June. It was triple-digit heat index, and he fought through that. Jimmy, not just the wind blowing in on Saturday, but there is an extreme heat advisory for Omaha. This is rare at the College World Series. I've been there for 1 game where the temperature was in the high 90s back in 2009. And I'll tell you, it gets muggy. It's like you can hardly breathe up there. So in addition to the wind conditions, You're going to deal with the extreme heat, and I think that it's going to wear on both of these starting pitchers. And I'm going to go with the one that had to do this just a couple of weeks ago. If you looked at his box score from that game, it didn't look very impressive. But if you were at the park and you knew what the conditions were, and I live very close to that place, it was unbearable. And there's been plenty of hot games in Baton Rouge, and he muscled through that. So I like that aspect of it. I also like, there's going to be some nerves here in game one of the championship series. I think LSU's been in a lot of tight spots. It was just a nail-biting game with Arkansas both times. They fell behind against UCLA. They had to go through a rain delay. Coastal Carolina, with the exception of game one, has kind of cruised through the last two games. So I think the tight spots, LSU's used to it. So I'm going to take the Tigers here behind Cade Anderson and lay the number.
If you do have that bet that we made a couple of weeks ago on our College World Series, once the field of 8 was set for Omaha at plus 650 to Coastal, I would sprinkle a little bit on to cover that bet on LSU here. You lose that bet, you're sitting in great shape for a Coastal to take the series. If not, you cover your bet, you still got a sweat, because I think that I think LSU is going to win the first one. I think Morrison's going to win the second one, in Coastal. I think this thing is destined for a game 3 on Monday. I'll be very surprised with these two teams so close in quality. And then we'll go from there, and we'll have one more show on Monday at 9 a.m. But again, I'm on the under. Charlie, you also like LSU in the series, which is at minus 190 right now.
Yeah, I think that the second game, if it's Ianson and Morrison, Morrison's probably a small favorite there in my mind. I don't know what the odds makers will say, but
he should be.
I would say he would be a small favorite there, but that game could go either way. I like LSU in a game 3 if it ends up being Case and Evans against Riley Eichhoff. Evans kind of saved him in the Super Regional and then again against UCLA on Tuesday, but he only threw 66 pitches in that game on Tuesday, so he could come back on full rest. The caveat there is LSU would use him in relief to close out a game if they needed to. If they were in close quarters on either Saturday or Sunday, they would use Case and Evans. But if they don't, he would be in line to start game 3. So I'd like Evans against Eichhoff in that spot. And again, I think these are two terrific teams, deserving, and I just think LSU's been tested a few more times than Coastal has over the course of the season and in this College World Series. And so my pick is the Tigers in the series.
Yeah, so LSU had to play an elimination game. And it's not just Anderson on Saturday, but you could have come in with a guy like Evans who struck out 9 in a row in the most part. It may have saved the regional for them against Little Rock when they were down 5-1, keeping Little Rock at bay till LSU could kind of finally come through well with the bats. One thing that we have to know, though, this will be a home field advantage for LSU. There is no doubt. Roughly 10-1 fans with, 12, 14,000 will be from LSU in the stands. So they know the trip hasn't always been like that. I've been to a championship game in the early 90s where Wichita State had 10-1 fans against LSU. But this is a runaway train. They're doing all they can to get up there and cheer for the Tigers. And Coastal will have their fans, but it's just going to be a little bit of a home game. Doesn't matter to Coastal that much. By comparison, LSU went to Auburn this year. They lost all 3. Coastal went to Auburn and won 2 in a row, went 2-0, which Auburn hadn't lost 2 in a row at home all season until that. And they put the hammer down with Morrison in that game 1. We have the best 2 teams, not compromised at all with their pitching. If this doesn't go 3, I'll be very surprised. So I think we're going to be back 9 a.m. Charlie, look, the grandkids, give them a damn piece of chocolate or something. They behaved themselves today, so that's all. Yeah,
she wanted to be on. She wanted to be on TV, like she says. Pop, I want to be on TV. One other note. This really doesn't have anything to do with the wagering aspect of this, but 2016 Coastal won the national championship. They went through Baton Rouge to do that. Very few teams come into Baton Rouge and win in the postseason. Coastal did it, and they got to the championship series and beat Arizona, who was then coached by Jay Johnson, the current LSU coach. So, look, that doesn't mean anything necessarily to these players. They were in elementary school when that happened. I know the coach remembers from his time in Arizona. They were in a game 3 on, I believe it was a Tuesday because of the rain, and Coastal got them in the last game. And I know Jay Johnson remembers that one. So a little bit of an extra storyline here.
Got Arizona in 3, but they didn't lose a game in Baton Rouge when they went
They
to
did not.
Alacox
They did
Stadium.
not.
They beat LSU in 2 games. Didn't even need the game 3. So good luck to you. Hopefully you got on that Coastal plus 650, got your little leverage moving forward. So Charlie likes LSU in game 1 and also in the series. I've got the under in game 1. I'm going to come back on the under in game 2 as well. The conditions will stay the same for Saturday and Sunday. Going to alter a little bit on Monday. We'll be back here at 9 a.m. live to give you all of that information as well. I mean, boy, if you're not live betting and middling or hedging some of these unders in Omaha, you're sick. So anyway, good luck to you. We'll see you on Monday if these two teams split in Saturday and Sunday. For Charles Hanagriff, I'm Jimmy Ott on the Sports Bettor's Paradise on the Bet Rivers Network.